We're going to talk about a city that is a real puzzle. Meet Belagavi. On one hand, it's an absolute powerhouse for its state's economy. But on the other, it's sitting right on top of a cultural and political fault line that's been rumbling for decades.
And that brings us to the core question, the real head-scratcher we're digging into today. How can this place be such a massive economic driver, but the people who live in the region, well, they struggle with really low income? It's a story of numbers versus identity. And that's the story of modern Belagavi.
All right, so first up, let's talk about the money. You might be surprised to hear just how crucial Belagavi is to Karnataka's whole economy. People tend to overlook it, but trust me, the numbers don't lie. They tell a really powerful story.
So check this out. The official Karnataka Economic Survey shows that Belagavi district chips in 3.9% to the state's GSP. That's the gross state domestic product. Now, I know what you're thinking. 3.9% doesn't sound like a huge number, right? But wait, let's put that into perspective.
That 3.9% actually makes Belagavi the third largest economic contributor in all of Karnataka. The only places ahead of it are Bengaluru Urban, the giant tech hub, and Dakshina Kannada, the big coastal player. So the takeaway here is simple. Belagavi is a serious economic engine, a real heavyweight.
Okay, so we've established Belagavi is an economic powerhouse. But this is where the plot thickens. Big time. Because for all that money it's generating, there's a huge disconnect when you look at how much of it actually makes it into the pockets of the people who live there.
So just to recap, when you look at the total economic muscle, Belagavi is right up there, number 3 in the whole state. A top-tier contributor, no question. But now, look at this. When we switch from total output to per capita income, basically average income per person, the Belagavi division suddenly plummets. It ranks 3rd out of 4, so second to last. That's a massive drop. How is that even possible? How can a top 3 contributor have some of the lowest average earnings? And the raw numbers really drive this home. The average income per person in the Belagavi division, it's just over 2 lakh rupees. I mean, that's barely half the state average. And it's only about a quarter of what the average person in Bengaluru Urban earns. This right here, this is the core of the Belagavi paradox.
So to figure out why this is happening, we've got to rewind. We need to go back in time. You see, Belagavi's identity is super complex, and it was shaped over centuries of different rulers and different cultures all leaving their mark. Okay, let's do a quick history tour. It started with the Rada dynasty, then it was passed around between sultanates, the Mughals, and the Marathas, you name it. Eventually, the British annexed it. It was even the site of a really important Indian National Congress session with Mahatma Gandhi in 1924. But for our story, the key moment, the absolute game changer, is 1956. That's when Belagavi was moved from what was then Bombay State into Mysore State, which is now, of course, Karnataka.
And you can literally hear that complicated history on the streets today. Just look at the languages people speak. According to the 2011 census, Kannada and Marathi are almost tied for the top spot. Plus, there's a huge Urdu-speaking population. So this is not a city with one single identity. It's a genuine melting pot, a crossroads of cultures. And wouldn't you know it, that rich, complex identity is also the root cause of one of India's most stubborn, long-running border disputes. And look, this isn't just some political argument. When you have this kind of constant uncertainty hanging over a region, it can really scare away the kind of big-time investment that creates those high-paying jobs we were talking about.
So what's the dispute all about? Well, here's the nutshell version. Back in 1956, when India redrew its state boundaries based on language, Belagavi ended up in Karnataka. But Maharashtra has claimed it ever since, basically saying, hey, look at all the Marathi speakers there. It should be part of our state.
Okay, so let's look at the two sides. Karnataka's position is pretty clear. The 1956 decision is final. Case closed. They see Belagavi as a core part of their state. Maharashtra's counterargument is that the reorganization back then didn't really listen to the people on the ground and their linguistic identity. And this whole thing has been stuck in the Supreme Court for a very long time.
And this is where things get really symbolic. In the middle of this tug-of-war, Karnataka builds something huge. A massive government building called the Suvarna Vidhana Sautha. And believe me, this isn't just an office building. It's a powerful statement. See, by building a second legislative assembly right here, they essentially made Belagavi the state's second capital. It's a way of cementing their claim. And every year, they hold the winter session of the state legislature here. That's a very deliberate political move.
It's a way of saying loud and clear, Belagavi is Karnataka, and it's staying in Karnataka.
So while all of this political drama is playing out, there's another story happening in parallel. Belagavi isn't just stuck in the past. It is charging ahead, trying to build a very different future for itself.
And that future is all about economic growth. I mean, Belagavi is now officially a smart city. It's got India's very first private aerospace SEZ. That's a huge deal. It's also perfectly located right between Mumbai and Bengaluru, which is a massive advantage for industry. And on top of all that, the airport is getting a major upgrade, with more and more flights. It's all pointing towards a very ambitious future.
Which brings us right back to where we started. We have this city defined by two powerful, competing forces: its incredible economic drive and its deep, historic cultural divisions. So the big question is, which one will win out? Can the shared dream of economic prosperity finally be the thing that bridges this old, painful divide? That is both the paradox and the incredible promise of Belagavi.